Feels weird calling you Austin.
Coco, Austin, whatever you want. Up to you.
The king.
The king.
The king of YouTube.
Not quite. It's the plan. Boy, Yung King Cookson here today from lovely Torquay with my good friend Kate Osmacker 31. G'day. Me with the Monday Magnets here. Me and Dos versus Baz and Willie T. We've got Drew's behind the camera.
Austin Cookson, and today we're going to reveal our 2025 AFL ladders.
I reckon there's probably 15 teams have finals expectations, so could be a bit dicey. This could be a bit anger.
Austin Cookson. Welcome to Shinboner Stories.
It's good to be here.
Most people will know you as the Yung King Cookson, and we'll get to that.
Potentially. Yep.
We'll get to that later. But for now, we're going to talk about Austin and the lifelong suffering North fan, as we all are. It's a family thing for you, as it is for a lot of North fans our age. Talk to me about growing up and being in a household of mad North supporters.
Yeah, craziness. It was sort of, didn't really get a choice. At a young age, Dad sort of said, North Melbourne, this is the way of life. You're going to suffer forever, kids. And, there's no way around it. But, I don't know. Going to school in Torquay with a lot of Geelong fans sort of made things a bit tricky. We used to have those days where it was, the team song day. Did you have them at school?
Yeah, like footy
day.
days.
Yeah, that's the one. And you get up and it's like Geelong fans and half the school's walking around singing the "We Are Geelong," all that crap. And then Richmond fans get up, Essendon fans get up. The interstate clubs, not too many, and then it's just North Melbourne. It's just me, my brother, and my two sisters just walking around. Everyone's like, "Boo, stink! No one cares about that club." I'm like,
I mean, strong representation though.
Exactly,
a strong clan.
Yep.
United front.
Yep.
It didn't stop you from trying to escape.
Yes.
The North Melbourne destiny. Port Adelaide somehow caught your interest. Tell us a story about that.
I think it must have been one of Port. Maybe it was 2004 when Port were like red hot. Or maybe it was a bit early. I'm not sure, but I remember watching a game. Couldn't even really, decipher what's going on. I was still young, didn't really understand footy. But Dad, obviously, North, Glen Archer, all this stuff, and I'm looking up at the TV and I see, the Thunderbolt, the Lightning Bolt logo, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, Dad. I go for them. Probably in a much more less sophisticated sort of language, but Dad's like, no, mate, like no, sort of, scared me a little bit. My dad was a bit of an imposing figure as a young kid. I steered far away from Port and stuck with the Roos.
Your pop tried to have an influence on your family as well.
Yep.
So you've been tested at School Colours Day by being the only North supporters around. Then the Thunderbolt of Port Adelaide tried to persuade you. Your pop is a mad Essendon supporter.
Yep.
And your brother was almost swayed in that direction, and luckily your dad saved him from that.
Yep.
You were never persuaded by the Bombers?
No, I don't know. I sort of hearing my dad, like most young boys, is my idol growing up and loved him, just thought he was the coolest bloke ever. So I don't know, it didn't really take too much convincing from him to keep me on side. He sort of said, no, we go for North. Like, there's not as many of us, but, it makes it all sweeter when we win. And good honest club, tough club. We have this guy, Glen Archer, who's just a warrior. Like, you watch him and you just goosebumps. You run through a brick wall for him. And so, it didn't take too much for my dad to keep me on side. I'm glad I did stick with the Roos because, I don't know, there's not as many of us, but I don't know, there's like a sense of pride being a North fan. I feel like, I don't know, I used to always look at, Geelong fans around down here. They were doing really well. These guys that don't even care about footy, like, oh, we just go down to Virginia Park and, Gary Ablett's going to have 30 and Cam Mooney's kicked 7 and we win every week. And they're just getting premierships and I'm like, you don't even care. Like, you don't even care. But I don't know, I feel like all the suffering and the torture we've gone through as North fans, just, there's that bit of pride and it's going to make it so sweet when we...
It makes it so much more worth it. And I think a lot of people have shared the same sentiment as you. Like there's this feeling of like belonging and like a sense of pride and like almost ownership in like, yeah, I am a North supporter. Almost like it's a flex.
100%.
Which is great. You grew up in Torquay.
Yep.
How much footy did you see live in action? Did you spend a lot of time watching it growing up like on TV, or would you guys go down to the games? Like how did that look like in the early years?
So as young kids, Mum was a Fitzroy fan growing up. So she sort of half jumped on the Brisbane bandwagon when they switched over. But she met my dad and with his he's a good bloke, I swear. He's not a
he's
control.
The best if he's convincing everyone to go for North.
I'm just going through my head. I'm like, he sounds like a bit of a control freak sort of, but he's not. He's just, I'm sure there was a bit more free choice. You're sort of supposed to direct in the right way. But Mum came over to the North Melbourne side with Dad. The lovely guys, not a control freak, but yeah, they'd take us up every game. Like if we were playing at Marvel, the G, even at GMHBA or Skilled Stadium, it was called at the time.
The million names it's had.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were going every game. So yeah, it was awesome.
You mentioned Glenn Archer.
Yep.
I know Daniel Wells was also a favourite of yours growing up. What are your favourite memories of these players in particular?
Wow, I think the first thing I remember of Daniel Wells was the famous Jackie Chan goal. We were travelling around Australia at the time in a caravan, all 6 of us. So yeah, me, Mum, Dad, my brother and my 2 sisters. And I think we were actually pretty close to Perth at the time. Like we were trying to work it out so we could go to the game in WA, but just missed it. And we're watching on this little portable TV. Because this would have been, what is it, like
2004?
Yep,
Yeah.
2004. So yeah, the technology wasn't what it is today. And yeah, just see this young kid with the long sleeves just grab third man out, which you can't do anymore, which is a shame. But yeah, Jackie Chan that goal, and it was like, this kid's a freak. Like, and I feel like with Daniel Wells, like North Melbourne fans know how good he was. I think Collingwood fans know how good he was as well at the end there. But
yeah.
I still feel like he showed his potential some games and showed how good he was going to be as a player. But I feel like there was more in that career that could have happened. Injuries, obviously, along the way stunted him a bit, but he was, some sort of player, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think we ever saw the full potential of Daniel Wells ever.
Yep, I agree.
And like you mentioned, maybe a game here or there. He did win a best and fairest. I think it was 2013. He tied with Scott Thompson. They won joint best and fairest. But outside of that, even so, I still think we could have got more from him.
For sure.
And maybe it was that like coping mechanism of trying to protect his body and prolong it.
Yep.
And then also still trying to be the player that we knew he would be.
100%. I reckon it was, maybe tough. That obviously he was in some like decent North teams. I think maybe he only made top 4 once or twice in his career, maybe. Obviously, I think he would have played in 3 prelims. But yeah, probably didn't have the success around him to be able to, cement himself as like, I think there was like Brownlow potential there for Daniel Wells, honestly. Like, without being, a biased North fan. Like I think there should be, more best and fairest, higher in Brownlow counts, all Australians. Like I think that's the kind of player he was. But body and maybe a bit of success from the team didn't quite help him get to those sort of marks.
It's a shame because I do definitely agree with you. I think there was more there for him, but we've had kind of, and we're similar age, so I think a lot of North fans sort of our age, we've had 2 kind of peaks of success. The first one was 2007, 2008. 2007 is the last time we made the top 4. Finished 4th, got belted by Geelong in the elimination final. Then the week later we came out, beat Hawthorn. Aaron Edwards took that insane mark. And then we lost to Port Adelaide in the prelim, and then went back down for a while and then came back up 2014, 15, 16, made back-to-back prelims. Unfortunately, couldn't make it that one step further. But when I speak to a lot of North fans, that 2014 elimination final against Essendon really is, for a lot of us, and a lot of us sort of the same age, that's kind of like that's our memory. You've obviously not just got that memory for it being a great North memory, but there's that little bit of family rivalry in there as well. What was that like heading into that game?
It was big expectations. I had my grandpa, who's obviously a massive Essendon fan, and a couple of boys that I went to school with that were huge Essendon fans as well. I actually went to one of the boys' house to watch the game. So having so many Essendon fans and sort of, North, and when Drew Petrie kicked that goal and it sort of looked like we were going to steam home, it was, just give me goosebumps thinking about it now.
Goosebumps now,
At that Geelong game as well, I was with a group of Geelong fans as well. So it was like, sort of stepping through enemy territory and, bravely seeing my team win and probably losing some friends along the way, but it was
all worth it.
You're right. Those memories are our premierships and stuff. Like I remember, as a young kid, Dad would get out the 96 videotape, and I've watched that game probably like 10 times.
Me too.
Wow. And Glenn Archer probably leads to, me going, Glenn Archer's my favourite player of all time. Him winning the Norm Smith in that game. And I don't know. it makes me just can't wait. Like I sort of wish I got that as a kid. But I think, it's going to be so much sweeter when we win that flag in 28. What are we saying? 28, 27?
28, 25, my guy.
25.
We're only, 6 months away, 7 months away now.
Oh, geez, if that happens, it's going to be party time, I reckon.
It's, as you mentioned, it's been a bit of a slog the past few years, being a North supporter, especially the years during COVID. I feel like so many of us were so passionate about footy. That kept us going in those lockdowns, but then it's like Groundhog Day every week in, week out. You're watching North get belted every single week. Do you feel like going through the hardships with the club has connected you to the club more, or do you think it's kind of deterred you away a little bit?
Bit of both, potentially. I feel like last year I know it was out of lockdown. Last year wasn't COVID, obviously, but I feel like as far as the on-field success being lacking, I feel like there was a stage there where I can't remember exactly what years, but it was like watching a team that weren't trying. And I feel like when your team's down the bottom, all you want to see really is like blokes that are putting their bodies on the line and doing anything to win. Yeah, there was stages there where it just did not look like the effort was there, and that hurts. But I feel as though last year there was effort. Like, and I know it helps when you have so much young talent that you can see glimpses of how good we're going to be. But I'd say there's probably worse stages where I'd watch every game, I'd torture myself, and I would end up leaving watching the match and be like, why do I care more about this club than these players do? Like, I don't know if you can relate to that at all.
No, I can absolutely relate to that, because you kind of feel like you're sitting there week in, week out, and you're like, I'm here, I'm showing up, I will go to every game that I can go to. And sometimes you just feel like you're sitting there and you're questioning your life decisions, watching it all flash before your eyes. But I also feel like, and I want to ask you about, like, from a personal perspective, because when I think about the on-field stuff, and it is really hard, but I also feel like from a personal level, the club's got me through so much just by having that outlet and having that something to believe in and having that something to look forward to. I almost feel like without it, I feel empty, even if that something is going and watching us getting, I wish it wasn't that way, but even if it was us getting flogged every single week. So from a personal connection and a personal, Luna wants to answer the question as well. From a personal point of view and connection, like, what are those things that stand out in your mind that make the club so special?
I think the Shinboner spirit is a big one, which is pretty cliche sort of answer from a North Melbourne fan, but I don't know, just having that sort of known for being a tough, going through it sort of club, and the era with James Brayshaw saving the club, of us going up to the Gold Coast, where none of us really wanted that to happen. Looked like we might have gone to Tassie at stages. So I don't know. I think that to encapsulate it all with one word, it is just the Shinboner spirit, really. Like, and I think that's going back to Glenn Archer. I'm glazing him. That's what the kids will say. Oh, I glaze Glenn Archer, but he just
fair enough too.
Yeah, he he's Shinboner of the century, and it's pretty cool to have his son doing the same sort of stuff now. But just that toughness, the grittiness. It sort of feels like a working class sort of club, the Roos. Good family club, and just the club existing, I think, is gets us through times. But they're great. Great, the Roos. I don't know if I answered that question very well at all, but
you did. I love it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we are on the cusp of another season starting. Yep. Everyone loves a redemption story, and everyone loves the fight back story and the Shinboner story. Yep. What are you hoping from the club in 2025?
So we were talking a little bit before we started recording about the tangibles, and I saw you talking about it in one of your videos, where you actually want to see some wins on the board this season. Like, I feel like over the last 3-4 years, it's been a bit of, we just want to see glimpses. We want to see, a attempted style of play. Like, we want to build an identity. You just want to see the boys showing up, because for a couple of years there, as I said before, it didn't look like they even really wanted to play that hard. But I feel like this year is the year where we're not asking for anything crazy. It's just you need to be able to bring 4 quarters sometimes. Like, 6 wins. It's crazy because every North fan is saying 6 wins. I saw Kane Corns on SEN saying 6 wins, and then over-unders for how many games your team's going to win was 5.5. So it's that sort of vibe. Everyone's saying 6 wins. I feel like even if we have some really good footy and Sheasel has 40 touches, 10 games in a row, and LDU makes an All-Australian team, and Cherry's the best ruckman in the comp, if we don't win 6 games, I feel like it's going to be a failed season. I really do. And that might sound harsh, but I think a lot of North fans, realistic North fans, have been lenient on what we've expected from them over the last 4 or 5 years. So I think if it's not 6 wins, it's a fail. 5 wins, we fail.
No, well, they feel like, and I think 6 wins, it's so silly, like a number, but when you look back at last season, I think we should have won 6 games.
Yep.
So we won 3, and we had those 3 games. We've spoken about it at length. It's the Collingwood game, the Melbourne game, and the second Eagles game.
Yep.
All should have won. So in my mind, then that's got to be the baseline for us. I think we'll win more. I think we'll win about 8 or 9 games. And maybe that's me being delusional.
No.
I'm known for being this like toxic, positive North supporter, but I'm fine with that. I really also think that the young kids can steer us in the right direction. You mentioned LDU and Sheasel before. Who else are you excited to see out on the field this season?
I had a little cry a couple of weeks ago when Georgie Boy did his hammy again. I think he's sort of... You look at George Wardlaw, and I know he's had his troubles with his hamstrings, and hopefully they get sorted out. But I think most North fans, like when you envision where we're going to be, obviously Sheasel is class. Like he came into the AFL just like that,
ready-made.
He's just class personified. LDU is your Chris Judd kind of archetype player, where very quick, very powerful, moving. I think George Wardlaw is our Joel Selwood. I think I wouldn't be surprised if you look back if what is
he
it?
will
Touch wood.
Touch wood. This isn't wood, but let's go for it.
If he can, stay injury free, I think if North get to the places where we know Clarko can take a club and we know we have the talent to get to, I think George Wardlaw could be that Joel Selwood kind of character. I already see in the limited amount of games he's played a Butters, Sarong sort of capabilities. So he's the one I'm most excited about. I love that man. I don't want to ramble on too much, but going into like the, talking about watching a team that doesn't bring effort and all these sorts of things, having a guy like George Wardlaw, where even if he's not having a great game, like I think we got belted up in Sydney last year and he only had like 12 touches. I think it was his low for the season. And then you still watch him chase. Like we're down like 50 odd points halfway through the second or third quarter. And you see in this kid with bad hamstrings, like just putting it all on the line to chase Chad Warner running away, kick his 5th goal. It's like, I don't know, that sort of mentality. I think just if we can keep leading that through, sky's the limit.
That would be, I completely agree with you. I think a lot of people are disappointed about George, and I think that hopefully he will come back in the second half of the season and then try and preserve his body and go again. I think when it comes to work rate and effort, the acquisition of Caleb Daniel, who we were just talking about before we jumped
very exciting
on to record as well. What do you think he's going to bring to North along with Parker and Darling?
As far as Daniel, I think that's another just elite ball user, really, which is something that we've struggled with for a while, and it's helping having McKercher and Sheasel there that Goda is another one that is an elite ball user who hasn't been able to show at all at AFL level because he's been severely injured. But Daniel, I think an experienced head that uses the ball well. Because I even like last year there were stages where we would look like the momentum's with us and it's all going well. I think of that Essendon game, and we're looking like we should be doing well, and just some of the errors that we created were just terrible, like really not up to AFL standard. So having an elite ball user like Daniel is exciting. As far as Parker and Darling, the characters they are as people, I think their influence off the field is going to be more than what they can possibly do on the field, which obviously both had great careers, both premiership players, both made All-Australians, like superstar footballers, but a bit older. And I think anything that they do on the field is a bonus because helping the boys out as a player perspective, I think is different to Clarko going, I've coached guys, this is what it takes. Like Hodgie did this shit, Mitchell did this shit. Like I think it's different for Parker and Darling to be in there in the trenches with the boys going, boys, he says this shit for a reason. Like we've been there as well. This is how you build a successful team. And they're both tough footballers. So I think we did really awesome in the off season as far as helping this superstar young talent with a bit of grit and leadership and guys that have been there, done that. So yeah, I'm excited.
Everyone loves a comeback story. Everyone loves a redemption story. For those who don't know, you are a content creator.
Yeah.
That's why I said it was weird to call you Austin before,
Austin?
because most people will know you as the Yung King Cookson. We are having a return to YouTube this year.
We are.
Give us a bit of a rundown on why the hiatus and what spurred the comeback on and what we can expect from you in season 2025.
Yeah, so I was having an absolute ball making YouTube content back in 2019. I think early 2020 is when it sort of stopped. Coincidentally, the same time COVID came around. Me and my good friend Caden, so I'm assuming if anyone knows me, they'll know my mate Caden, who's been kicking goals many a year on the YouTube. We were doing stuff, making cool videos, having a great time. COVID comes around. The stuff that we were sort of filming with the AFL falls through because, COVID was crazy. Money was disappearing. We just basically got told there's no certainty with what's happening in the future. They tried to conjure up something. We did a little video on a Zoom call with Sava Radaglia and Max Gawn, and that was pretty cool. But after that, it was sort of batten down the hatches for the AFL and what they were doing. I think they were just trying to work out how they're going to get a season going, let alone two schmucks that stick a camera in their face and talk garbage getting in. But I think maybe I got a bit ahead of myself, not in regards to thinking I was anything special, but maybe in regards to thinking, if we keep doing stuff with the AFL, you don't need to work as much on your own thing. Where I think it's important, and looking at it this time, important to keep the main thing. Where I've always hated editing. I don't know how you enjoy it at all, but I hated the editing side of things. As far as this, talking to people that love footy and filming, love that side of things, but hated the editing. So I think I got a bit ahead of myself. When that opportunity went away, Caden went, I'm going to knuckle down, do my thing, and I sort of went, don't know, and then 1 month became 6 months, and then 6 months became a year, and then a year and a half. And I'm like, oh shit, camera's broken. I don't know where, what I'm going to film, and it sort of just disappeared. My Instagram account that had 13,000 followers on it got hacked. So starting that again.
When it rains, it pours.
Exactly. So I was like, all the stars are aligning for me to GTFO. I did some bricklaying, did some landscaping, worked in a bar for a bit, did a youth work course. Just sort of trying to find what I love to do, and the constant in it all was talking sports. To be honest, North Melbourne and AFL is my number one passion in the world. But I love any sport really. As you can see when you walked in, I have the NRL game in Las Vegas on in the background there. I love the darts. I love the tennis. I'm just a massive sports nuffy, and more importantly, a North nuffy. So
the most important thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, just same sort of mindset as you. Just give it a crack and see what happens.
Well, I'm very excited to see what comes from you this year, covering North and AFL and sports in general. It has been such a pleasure having you on. If people want to follow your journey throughout the year, where can they find you?
Just Yung King Cookson, YUN, because it was a bit hip when I made it. And I think it needs to sort of get to middle-aged Cookson at this point. Don't know who I'm kidding with, young. But yeah, Yung King Cookson anywhere. If it doesn't pop up, I'm not on it.
And I'm sure we'll see you at the game sometime this year as well.
Yes,
game, every game,
Celebrating, watching us win over 6 games. Hopefully 11 plus. Oh, the flag.
You heard it here first, guys, the flag.
Awesome. It's been really fun. I'm keen to see what you do for the year as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.